Hi, happy Tuesday, everybody. As always, just take a quick look around and make sure you have a safe area. Nothing slidey, no cords, books, clothes, right? So it's nice and stable. I have a chair today. We're going to do some more stuff. We're going to continue a little bit like what we were working on last week. If you were in class last week, we were working on shoulders, upper back, mobility, strength, flexibility. So we're going to keep working in that direction a little bit today. My wrists are bugging me a little bit. So I have a chair. And so if you see the chair, you don't have to rush out and get one. I just want to say I have a chair because of my wrist. But if you're someone who has cranky wrists, or maybe some, tension, tightness, you feel a little weak in your shoulders, you feel weak across the muscles of your upper back, a chair can definitely be of benefit, as can be the wall. So I'm going to be doing some things on the chair and the wall just to give you options. I don't want you to ever feel you have to do exactly what I'm doing. There's so many options, and learning to feel and just be comfortable with different options can be really very, very beneficial, right, to your body. Okay, so let's start. We'll just start seated, lying back, or in your chair if you want to start in a chair. Okay, so again, starting right away with different options on the shape. Each one of us, right, has a unique shape, a unique body. We really, really want, most importantly, to honor, right, what we have. Okay, so if sitting is most, grounding and comfortable, sit. If lying back is most grounding and comfortable, please lie back. If you need a chair, if you prefer to stand, we're going to be breathing, grounding, just connecting inward for about 5 minutes. All right, so giving yourself a moment to transition, just giving ourselves time to arrive in our practices. And as you arrive, just coming a little more inward. This practice of embodiment, practicing paying attention, being aware of what we feel in our bodies. We could open up with curiosity, with self-compassion and kindness. Checking in, feeling, noticing in a very non-judgmental, kind, loving way. Just giving yourself a moment to be in the moment. You might start to feel a deeper connection with the surface beneath you. If you're sitting on the floor or lying back, if you're in a chair, if you're standing, giving yourself a moment to feel the strength, to feel the stability of that surface beneath you. Right? We spend a lot of time working on holding ourselves up. So here's this opportunity to really connect and feel that support of that surface beneath you, and to let your body connect and let go a little bit. You might find it helpful to let go a little more as you feel and experience your exhale. And as we each connect to our own breath rhythm, your breath like a wave, breathing in and breathing out. No two waves exactly alike. No two breaths exactly alike. And then as we come into our bodies, breathing with a little more focus, and gentleness around the breath and ease, just practice counting 3 inhales and 3 exhales. And then when you feel, right, maybe it's your 3rd or 4th or 5th breath, you can gently let your eyes open if they're closed. And if you're lying back, just roll on over. We'll all come on up to sitting. If you're standing, you can come down to sit. So you can sit on the floor with your feet out in front of you, right, like so. And if being on the floor creates a lot of tension down here in the front of your hips, feel free to sit up on a chair. Okay, so I'm going to start in a chair, but by all means, right, you can definitely start right here. Okay, so I'm going to sit sideways in the chair. Feet are going to come out for all of us. And we just want to look down and just check that our shins and our feet are more parallel. So, right, it might be your habit when you're sitting down to kind of draw your knees together like this or have them open. Let's just start with this, right, more parallel leg, okay? And then looking down at the balls of your feet, okay? So your big toe mound to your pinky toe mound. And you could look, and then you could look up, right? And then practice just feeling your feet without looking at your feet. So, right, as you feel your feet here, you might lift your heels and lower your heels a few times. We might play a little bit of the down creates up game. So, right, feeling and grounding, pushing into the ball of the foot lets the heel naturally have that float lift up. And then you can pull the heel back and slowly lower it down. So we'll do 5 more breaths like that. Right? So exhale, down creates the float up. Inhale, heels pull down and sink into the ground. Great. Maybe 1 or 2 more. And then the heels come down, the balls of the feet come down, and we just pause for a moment. Again, we don't have to look down at the feet. It can be a really nice practice in learning to feel our bodies in space, right, without having to look. Like we know we have feet, okay? So do you have about the same amount of weight out in the balls of the feet as you do in your heels, all right? And then letting your thigh bones feel a little bit heavier and your sit bones here help anchor you down. So again, down is going to create up. So where can you feel a little more anchored and grounded so you have more of a natural, less tense, less force lift up through your spine, okay? So each one of us, right, it's going to be different for each one of us, right? So finding that unique relationship, down, anchoring, grounding, right? Gentle lift up, okay? So my left arm's on the outside. Maybe it's your right arm. You can start with whatever arm you want to. We're going to bring the arm down by your side. So if you're sitting, it comes down. And then keeping your spine, right, nice and strong and stable, the arm's going to come about as high as your shoulder. Okay, we worked on this last week. You're going to start to lift the arm and see if you can feel then the shoulder blade moving. So how that shoulder blade moves in relationship to your arm, how your arm and shoulder blade move in relationship to your rib cage. So define where your rib cage is. Try and keep your rib cage really stable, right? Meaning as your shoulder blade slides up, as your arm lifts, we're not wanting to push the rib cage forward. This is not it, all right? So it goes without saying, we all know, transverse abdominis, right? That cummerbund strength. We'll do 2 more. Second time your arm comes up, we're gonna pause. Now, if you're having a little bit of a challenge feeling that shoulder blade, right? This can be challenging, it's okay if it is. You're gonna bring your right hand or your left hand, whatever the opposite hand is around, and see if you can feel it, and then you're gonna slide it up and down on your back. So sometimes just having little kinesthetic feedback, physical feedback is really, really helpful. And then we'll do it one more time. Slide that shoulder blade up. Slide that shoulder blade down. Let the arm hang and shake it out. Great. Then just, right, turn around or don't. Okay. Let your arm hang, opposite arm, right? If you're in chair, you probably have to turn around. If you're on the floor, you don't. Bringing that arm up about as high as your shoulder. Pause. Okay. Right? A couple classes ago, we used landmarks like ears, shoulders, and hips. Sometimes that's helpful to feel our posture. Down, creating up. Right? So nice and grounded. Okay? And then again, lifting that arm and bringing that arm down. Right? Feeling, connecting to this shoulder blade back here. Right? So what we can't see in our bodies sometimes is, you know, leads a little bit to confusion and curiosity, right? Like, is that really what I'm feeling? Maybe some self-doubt, right? We get it. It can be confusing and hardish to understand. Then you can bring your opposite arm around and lift and lower a couple times. What do you feel? So that shoulder blade sliding and gliding. How about 2 more? And then after those 2, we're gonna bring the arm down. All right, so either sitting in your chair, you might come forward if you're in your chair and just face forward, right? If you're on the floor, we're gonna do both arms this time, all right? So you're gonna bring your arms as high as your shoulders and pause, right? However you connect to feeling, right, that sense of strength, anchored, grounded, right, strong, okay? Then the arms lift, shoulder blades slide up. Pause, notice, did you push your ribs forward? Did you push your belly button forward, right? Learning to feel these sensations, movements in our body. We're gonna bring the arms down, and then we're gonna swing the arms behind us, okay? So as the arms swing back, you can rotate so your palms face in. Most likely you're gonna take a little bend. Similar idea, right? When the arms came back in extension, did you push your rib cage forward, right? Swing the arms forward and up. Swing the arms back and behind. So you might use some muscle memory, like we were doing a tabletop or a straight arm plank, right? Really holding that idea of that rectangular core as strong and steady as you can as we do 2 more. Good, next time your arms come forward and up, we're gonna pause right here, anchor down through your feet and your sit bones, right? Lift up through the upper back ribs and shoulder blades, and take 2 breaths. And with your exhale, take your arms out wide and just let them come down to the floor. All right, so we're just gonna add on to that movement, keeping those core central hallmarks, right, in our feeling awareness, okay? So the arms are gonna come out like T's, then we're gonna go to a Y, and then we're gonna go to an I. back out to a Y, and down to a T, okay? So we're gonna do this a few times, shoulder blades moving, and as strong and steady as we can be, not pushing the rib cage forward or back. Great, let's try 3 more. Okay, when you feel it's been your 3rd one, when your arms are out like a Y, we're gonna pause, okay? Now we're gonna try and get a little more connection from the back of your shoulder blade through the back of your arm, like through your tricep, and you're gonna pull your elbows in and then push your elbows out. Okay, so a little bit like a W, try for about 5 of these. Right, and again, you know, we're trying to keep that spine, right, nice and vertical. Trying to keep that rib cage pretty darn still. Great, and then the next time you come down to a Y, pause. Okay, lift up through your mid-back. So define where your mid-back is and then lift up, so you might feel that a little more through the back of your ribs, right? Like your sternum's drawing in a little bit and your navel's drawing in a little bit, right? Then you're gonna come to goalposts, all right? Now we're gonna move your spine. Now you're gonna bring your elbows together and make like a little cat shape. And then the elbows come open and we lift up like a cow, okay? So exhale, you're pulling your elbows in, squeezing a towel, opening, lift up through the chest. 2 more. And then the next time you bring your elbows together and you're like a cat, we're gonna pause. And then exhale, release it and shake it all out. All right, either sitting here, right? You might stretch your legs out. Ooh, I was feeling a little tight in the front of the hips. Maybe you are too. So shake things out, okay? So you can sit in your chair for this one or you can sit here. Now we're gonna work with low belly and low back strength, okay? So I'm gonna straighten my legs a little bit so you have a little bit better visual. We're gonna start down here by defining these deep, remember internal, deep means internal, right? Core muscle, okay? So working from there, you might start with a landmark of like your navel to your pubic bone in this space right here. You're just gonna draw that back. And that's gonna round your back a little bit, okay? And then you're gonna sit back up. So working in that low belly, low back, when you draw that back, ooh, you're probably gonna go on the back of your sit bones, okay? Now, in relation to that, you're gonna decide where you want your legs, a little more straightish or a little more bent, okay? Try and keep your toes down, okay? So again, drawing that navel back, you might feel like you're tucking under or, right? Drawing your tailbone under, posterior tuck. And then you're gonna come back up and let's try like 3 more. You can do this sitting in your chair. Then you're just gonna add on. If you need to, hold on to your legs, okay? So you're gonna do this right here. Toes might start to come up slowly, and you're gonna roll back a little bit. As far back as you can without over gripping, right, in the front of the hip and not over gripping in your chest. And then you're gonna pull yourself back up, all right? So we're gonna try a couple more. I'll give you the option. You can keep your toes down. That's gonna make it a lot harder. You can lift your toes up, okay? So figure out where you want your knees. Incrementally, little by little, right? You can go back, but start down here. Low belly. Try, as you go back, to keep that feeling of strength in the upper back. Pull yourself up, okay? When you got the hang of it, you can definitely do it sideways on the chair. You can add challenges. The challenge is to not overuse the front of the hip or overuse the chest. So when we're rolling up, we're not pushing the chest forward, right? Want to try and keep more ease in the front of the hips. And we'll try about 3 more. Right? Maybe you're just going back a little bit. Meet yourself right where you are. Okay? Now, come on up, shake things out, take a couple free breaths. Rest for a moment. Okay? And just check in with your body. How do you feel? What do you notice? Take a full exhale. Okay? And then we're all going to come back to just the right Goldilocks-like place. That might be right here for you, right? That might be a little more back here. Okay? Your toes could be down. That's going to create a little less tension in the front of your hip, right? If you lift your toes, you might feel a little more in your hamstrings, okay? And just, again, we can all assess, right? The goal overall is to stay strong, steady, and connected, right? And not always be using our hip flexors and not always be using our shoulder, front shoulder, chest area, right? So you're gonna find just your right Goldilocks place, and then we're gonna do those arm movements again. You can find an I, a T, or a Y, and then a T, right? So moving your arms in relationship to your core, right? Maybe it helps you to feel those shoulder blades move again, okay? So really nice, connected, and strong. We'll do 2 more through, right? So TYI or YIT, however you want to go, right? Strong and steady, and then after those, whew, when you're finished, we all come up, round up and over. If you're in your chair, just come on over to your forearms. And then we all pause. I'll be really quiet and give you time to check back in with curiosity and kindness. How are you doing? What do you feel? What's your present time? Moment to moment, breath to breath experience. And just take 2 more full exhales, let all the air out. Good. And then we're going to come up and we're going to stretch out the front of your hip flexors, okay? So, 2 options here, okay? One option, right, is to pad your knees. So, right, if you're on a really hard surface, you grab a blanket, roll up your mat. We're all going to find like a 90-90 lunge with our right leg forward, okay? So if you're on the chair, right, you can do this. Right leg forward, left leg back, right butt cheek on the chair, okay? You can feel this right here, okay? So you're in about a 90-90. Back toes can be curled under and hands are gonna come to your pelvis. Find your left thigh bone, okay? Left thigh bone's gonna push back. Okay, so this thigh bone is going to push back towards the back of the hip socket. You can lift this left pelvic crest up. Lift the right pelvic crest up. Everything we've worked on so far still is important. If you're using the cue of the ears over the shoulders over the hips, right? Ribs dropping down and in. If you want a little more, arms come as high as your shoulders. All of that strength, shoulder blades slide up. And we can lift the arms. Left thigh bone, find it, press it back. Good, 2 more breaths. Then we're gonna exhale, bring your arms down, hands to your pelvis. Tip your pelvis back just like a little millimeter. I went back further than a millimeter just so you could see. But going slow as you tip back, left thigh bone keeps pushing back. Take 3 breaths. Squeeze your legs into the hip socket. Strong legs into hips. Good. Chest, shoulders come back up, and we'll switch sides. Okay? So, turn around on the chair if you want. Bring your left leg forward. Okay? To Define where your right thigh bone is in relationship to your pelvis. Pelvis forward, take the right thigh bone, push it back. Anchoring it towards the back of your hip socket. Belly button, pelvis facing forward. Heavy, heavy shin bone. Right? Stack your shoulders, hips. If you want a little more, stretch the arms up. Try not to push your chest forward. Right? Lift up through the back of the ribs. Take 2 breaths. Exhale, hands can come down onto your hips. Maybe you tip your hip back a little bit. Right? I should say hips back, right? Right hip, left hip, maybe tip back a little bit. Right thigh bone keeps coming back. Right through here, 2 breaths. Exhale. Shoulders come back up over hips. Good, both knees come back down. Great, just sit back into a child's pose. If you're in your chair, just sit back or come forward onto your elbows. We're all gonna pause, be quiet. We'll listen to 5 breaths. Good, full exhale. And then we're gonna find a tabletop. So you could do your tabletop right on the floor. You could do your tabletop up on a chair. All right, so my wrists are bugging me, so I'm gonna come up on the chair. You could also, right, come up onto the back of your chair, or you could make fists so you don't have flexion, okay? So give yourself 3, 4, 5 breaths here. It's pretty important, right? You know, build a strong table, right? So ears over shoulders, right? If it works for your wrist, maybe your shoulders are coming a little bit more over your wrists. If that puts too much pressure on your wrist, by all means, back off a little bit, okay? And then that strength and length, right, all the way through the spine. So for some of us, it might be really helpful to think or feel, right, your breastbone, your front lower ribs, and your pubic bone going up a little bit, or your belly button going up. Your pubic bone, sorry, goes straight back, right? So we don't want to sag, and we don't want to be too rounded. Again, it can be quite challenging to feel this in space, okay? Then, left shoulder, I'm starting with the left, you can start with the right. Don't let your shoulder drop as you take your left arm out in front of you, okay? It could be down on your mat, or it could be elevated, but we don't want the left shoulder to drop, okay? So the collarbones stay about the same height across the front of the chest, okay? If you want more, you're gonna take your opposite leg back and start to lift it up towards your pointer dog, okay? Now, as an extra challenge here, we're gonna go crisscross. Opposite back shoulder and opposite hip. So for me, it's my left shoulder to my right hip. Are they about the same height? Toes are facing down, knee is facing down, and then you're gonna reach fingers out of heels and see how long you can feel through your front body. Try not to sag your ribs or sag your pelvis, and then you're gonna tap things down. So I'm gonna tap like towards the chair and the floor, and then lift it back up. If you're in hands and knees, you're gonna tap towards the floor. Your opposite leg hip, right, really strong and steady, okay? So this outside left glute hip through this leg, woo, it's starting to burn on me, right? I need that for some stability with my opposite back right shoulder and my abdominals. 2 more. Okay, when you've lifted to your capacity, maybe that's an inch, stretch out again. Opposite fingertips, opposite heel. 3 breaths across your back. And then let it come down. Do what you need for about 5 breaths to shake it out, rest. Take some time. Notice your present time experience. And then build your table again, right? So Build your strong table. You have to start from a place of grounding, a place of strength and stability, okay? So as long as it takes you to find that. Opposite arm, opposite leg. When you lift that opposite arm, right? Long and strong across the front collarbones, wide and spacious across the shoulder blades in the upper back. Opposite heel pushes back, toes and knees face the floor, stretch it out. How long can you feel? Opposite back shoulder blade to opposite hip. So careful you're not cranking, right? One hip higher, you're not sagging one shoulder lower. Okay, when you feel really, really long in your front body, right? Ribs are knit, sternum is knit, low belly's knit, tap and lift. Inhale down, exhale up. Just follow your breath. Make a little movement, make a big movement. All of us, right, work on controlling the movement in relationship to our breath. 3 more. This time, when everything lifts, right, opposite arm, opposite leg, one more time, stretch long. Bring it down to your table. Okay, if you're at your chair, step your feet back, bend your knees, do a downward facing dog at your chair. If you're down, right, on your hands and knees, same idea, floating table, take your hips up and back. Downward facing dog, we're all gonna find a down dog. Bend your knees quite a bit to really let your hip creases draw back to find, seek a little more length in your low back. If it works for your body, 5 breaths in your down dog. If you need to rest, come down, find tabletop, push back into child's pose. We'll be quiet while you breathe. Following the next 2 exhales out your mouth. Good, and then when you feel your next exhale, walking your hands and feet together, really slowly coming all the way on up to standing. Good, and then we just stand, pause for a moment, standing meditation. So another opportunity to really anchor into our bodies with our breathing. Okay, notice the breath, notice your present time experience. You can count 3 exhales. Great, and then letting your eyes open. So we're going to work through some sun salutations. So you can definitely use your chair if you want, right? You can just step back, right? And you could fold over and do your down dogs on your chair. I'm going to trust that you're creative and can figure it out. Okay, if you're not using a chair, we're going to start by walking to the back of your mat. All right, so starting, right, just good old-fashioned stance. Again, a little bit like how we started. Can you feel your feet without having to look down, right? Balls of the feet, toes, heels, what do you feel? And then can you feel a little more equal weight front to back of your foot, right? And then going up your leg a little bit, making sure, right, you're not walking through your knees. Your legs are nice and strong, rooted, grounded into your hip sockets, right? There's strength through the front, side, back, right? Spine, nice and lifted. Right? Naturally, organically, shoulders open. Head draws back in line with the shoulders. Following your breath and the awareness of your shoulder blades move. So when your arms come about this high, pause. Now we're going to take an exhale. Shoulder blades are going to slide out to come up. Inhale, just come back to shoulder height. If this works, if this is too much, right? Maybe you have an impingement. You're working down here. That's fine. Your shoulder blades are not going to probably move, right? A whole lot down here. They don't need to move down here. but up here they do. So that awareness, shoulder blades moving. We're just gonna do this 3 more times. Next time your arms are up as high as you can get them, right? Bring them out in front of your ears. Knit your ribs, lift up, right? Like your tabletop shape, like your plank shape. Bend your knees. Reach up with an inhale, with your exhale, long spine, reach, 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 fold forward. Right? When you get over, you don't have to touch the floor. Remember, inhale, lift your chest. Nice and wide. Take a T. Take a Y. And then take an I with your arms. Good. Hold your I. Bring it down to a T, fold forward and walk yourself out. Downward facing dog for 3 breaths. From your downward facing dog, find your tabletop, right? Either on the floor or at your chair. Right leg comes back, left leg goes out in front. Lift up, strong pointer dog. Reach and lengthen, heel out of fingers, 2 breaths. Exhale, switch sides, ground down, find your pointer dog, heel to fingers, reach, 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 take 2 breaths. Exhale, come down. Press down, right? Get all that strength through the upper back, down through the arm, down creates up. So if you're on the floor, floating table, everyone exhales, downward facing dog. Take 3 breaths. With your next exhale, feel your exhale, feet walk up to your hands. Press down. Next exhale, we come all the way on up, full stretch. Bring your hands down to your sides and take 3 quiet breaths. Good. When you're ready, hands, arms come as high as your shoulders. Exhale, lift up. Inhale, table your arms. Exhale. Inhale. Last one, exhale, lift up. Bring your arms out in front of your ears. Right? Feel your feet connect to your legs, legs connect into hips. Hips connect into core. Core lifts up through the arms. Bend your knees. And then with your exhale, fold over. Inhale, lift your chest. Slide your hands up onto your thigh bones. Come out into your really strong, right, T to your Y. Right? Super strong out to your I. One more time, T to your Y, feel your shoulder blades to your I. Good, from your I, come back to your T, exhale, fold. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, downward facing dog, either at your chair or on the floor, 3 breaths. Next, exhale out your mouth, come down to your table. Pointer dog, right side, right arm, left leg, reach it out, stretch. Right? If you want, you can hold this or you can bring elbow to knee. Okay? So you can either hold it or work on elbow to knee. Really try to get your elbow closer down to your knee. So your knee can stop at your hip, then you're gonna have to find more rounding, right, to bring it here. Good. Last one. And then you can stretch it out. Build your strong table. Go to the left arm, right leg. Remember, your right knee needs to face the floor with your toes. If you want to, elbow to knee. Go for about 5. Follow your breath. Your inhale extending, exhale rounding in. Then after about 5 of those, we meet back in your table. Build your strong table. We'll take a fork in the road, okay? You could stay in table. You might want to do a cat-cow, right? You might want to take a plank. You might want to take a child's pose or a downward facing dog. So each one of us has a place of challenge, right? So finding that place of strength and challenge, just the right amount of challenge for you. Settle back into that embodiment place where you can be in your breath or in your body for 5 breaths. Take the next 2 or 3 exhales out your mouth. Good, and then we're all gonna lower down to hands and knees. If you're at your chair, you can come to table. Okay, if you're in your chair, you're gonna sit back. If you're on the floor, you're gonna press back into a child's pose. If you are already in your child's pose, you can hang out right here or maybe start to roll onto your backs. All of us feeling the ground beneath us, holding us up. Feeling, connecting. What do you notice when you take 3 breaths across your back? And then next exhale out your mouth. And then we slowly come back up to our table. Great. And if you're on your back, you can come on up to sitting. You can sit in your chair. We're going to find crisscross applesauce. Belly button to pubic bone, right? All the way around, nice, strong through that cummerbund. Okay, anchor down through your sit bones. Gentle, gentle, easy twist to the right. Right? If you're using your hands when you come around, careful not to like pull or crank yourself right into the twist. So you might let your hands flow up, connect a little more into your abdominals, into those crisscross sash oblique muscles. And then bring your awareness up into your upper back under your shoulder blades. Right? So see if you can mentally see and feel those shoulder blades on your back. And then take 2 breaths underneath your shoulder blades. And let your full exhale twist you to the other side. You can put your hands down. Just be mindful that you're not pulling or cranking yourself into the twist. Get nice and anchored, grounded. Again, that idea, right? Down creates that natural lift up of your spine. Mentally, physically feel, see those shoulder blades on your back and take 2 breaths under those shoulder blades. Great, and then we come back to center. Good, either staying here or you could outstretch your legs and roll all the way down onto your back. We'll take the last few minutes to rest, okay? So, either lying all the way back down or coming to a comfortable seated spot. All of us reconnecting, right, inward. Right, once again, come back to feeling the surface, the ground underneath you. And taking the last minute here to just practice letting go, right? You feel safe, you feel supported. What does it feel like to allow the ground to hold you up? Noticing your present time experience, opening your awareness to your body breathing. Just opening your awareness to the room and the space, the sounds, the smells around you. Just taking a nice full inhale here together. Letting all the air out. And just allowing your body to automatically start to wake up a little bit. You might wiggle fingers and toes. Just how does your body come back? If it feels good, you might draw your knees into your chest. You might take a full body stretch. And then we're going to slowly make our way over onto one side. So you're just going to roll over to the easiest side and pause to take 2 breaths through your back. And then we'll slowly come all the way on up to sitting. So thank you all so much for taking time out of your really busy day to practice and take care of yourselves. High fives to everyone. Namaste. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will open up the Q&A. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask questions. If I can't answer it, Misty can give you my email and then we can have an email conversation. Thank you. Happy spring to you as well. Isn't it nice to have a little more sunshine, a little bit warmer temps? It's nice seeing all the perennials coming back too.
Alicia, do you want to remind them next?
Oh yeah, thanks Misty. Next week we're in chairs. So next week's the first Tuesday of April, so we'll be in chairs, okay? So if you have a chair without arms, bring it next week. If not, you can modify and do some stuff on the floor. Thank you, I should have done that at the very beginning. Good, I'm glad this felt good. Good, good.
Okay,
All right.
It looks like we don't have any more questions. Alicia, thank you so much for the great session today. Thank you also everyone who attended. We hope you got something out of it and you feel much more relaxed and stretched out. Please go outside and enjoy the sun. It looks pretty nice out there. And we hope to see you next week then. Until then.
Have a good week. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Misty. You're the best.
Bye, Alicia.
Bye. Thank you.